Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What kind of slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Toadstool Sports, Thursday, December 11th. 2-0 on the show yesterday. College basketball, doing pretty well this season so far. Want to continue that, obviously. There's a lot more to go, so hopefully it doesn't completely go to hell like last year. NJIT with the outright win. Tulsa, win and cover. Pretty much no sweat on either of those, so we'll take that. Neither of them are really that close to losing, so I'm happy about that, obviously. Got something on my Red Sox visor here. I don't know what that is. All right. Today, I don't know how strongly I feel about these plays today, but we're going to have some plays. We're going to have one college basketball play. It's mostly hockey today. Hockey's the sport that has the most action today. I'm going to have 2 hockey plays. I thought I might have 0. I mean, the hockey board is not strong, but I did find 2 that I think are worthy at least, and then I'm going to give out 1 NBA play as well on what is a small NBA board. And even though I'm Mr. Thursday Night, I do not love the Thursday night football game, but I will talk about it, obviously. Let's get into it. College basketball. We have a slightly early game between Doug Gottlieb's Green Bay Phoenix at IU Indy that run the floor ridiculously. I have no idea how to predict this game. I'm just talking about it for no reason because I have no opinion on it. Green Bay, after Gottlieb threw the chair after their close loss to Robert Morris, they did not bounce back at all. They got absolutely embarrassed by Wright State. So you got to think they will be in kind of a foul mood here and want to bounce back. But IU Indy's coming off and getting smoked by Youngstown State as well. Youngstown State, most likely one of the better teams in the horizon. I don't know what we do with this, man. I mean, Green Bay is a 1-point favorite now on the road, down from 2.5. The money looks like it is coming in on IUPUI or IU Indy now. 81% of the tickets, 98% of the cash on IU Indy. It is at the Jungle. That's what the arena is called in Indianapolis. I think nobody really shows up for those games, although maybe now that they're this fast-paced phenomenon, maybe the crowd shows up now, even though there's still a losing team. I don't know. The money's saying IU Indy. I don't really have an opinion on it otherwise. Virginia Tech is playing Western Carolina. Again, no real opinion here. I mean, these games are just, it's obvious why I don't want to do anything with this. Virginia Tech, I guess I would say I would slightly lean towards taking the points against them here. They are coming off this run of games against St. Mary's, VCU, South Carolina. I think the first 2 of those are in a neutral site somewhere. Yeah, in Bahamas. And then they beat South Carolina on the road as an underdog, and then they came back home and they did not suffer a letdown, and they beat a pretty good George Mason team. So now they're coming off of all that, and they're playing a weakling here, laying a ton of points. I would probably look to fade them. Western Carolina coming off a 20-plus point loss at USC upstate, South Carolina upstate. Western Carolina, They're pretty bad. They do have some okay wins in here, though. Like, they're fairly battle-tested as well, so they're not really going to be intimidated by facing Virginia Tech after they've played Cincinnati and Duke already this year, both on the road. I think they'll show up. I mean, yeah, I would lean towards taking the points in that one. I don't even know where it is. Yeah, Virginia Tech's up from 19.5 to 20. It's a decent-sized spread there. I mean, again, I don't have a whole lot else to say about that one. The game that I will give out a play on is actually the big game of the day, Iowa State. And you know how I do things. Here comes the best bet. We are going to take the points with Iowa here. And, of course, I always forget to turn the timer off on these. But there it is, Iowa plus the 11.5. I don't know if we can get a better number than this, although it's in kind of it's a high enough range that it starts getting into kind of dead numbers here. They're down from 12.5 to 11.5. Iowa State is 77% of tickets on Iowa State, 84% of the cash on Iowa. So the market looks like it agrees with me. I know this is at Iowa State. Iowa State is going to try to run fast. I mean, this is a tempo collision where Iowa wants to play really slow under Ben McCollum, but it's like, well, which one of these is going to win out? Usually the better team and the home team have the better shot to control the pace, but you can see this total is low, down to 142, so the odds makers are seemingly indicating that Iowa will be able to at least mix this thing up and slow the pace down to some extent, and it is at least easier to slow the pace than it is to speed it up. So we're going to see two teams trying to go in different directions here, but the the decider here is really that Iowa State, I mean, they're coming off just a monster win. I mean, they beat Purdue 81-58 at Purdue. It was the worst loss at home by a number one ranked team since I think some loss by UConn to Villanova decades ago, like at least 2 decades ago, I think. So Iowa State's coming off of that. They had a really good second half. And as I pointed out yesterday, I was correct, by the way, about Purdue covering yesterday, although it was somewhat close. But Iowa State, they just had a great second half. They couldn't miss in the second half. 54% from the field, 48% from three. Purdue lost the turnover battle at home. Purdue actually won the rebounding battle in the game by 1. So Iowa State, I mean, they're not exactly dominant on the interior if you look at their rebounding this year. So that should help like an Iowa team that's a little bit more undersized. Like hopefully they're not going to get totally dominated in the rebound department here, because Iowa State isn't like the greatest rebounding team either. But Purdue, again, these shooting percentages are also big outliers. Purdue only shot 22% from three, 41% from the field. They usually do shoot better than that. They're actually a very efficient shooting team. So a lot of things that led to this disaster here. And now I think the stock is just at its peak on Iowa State. They're ranked 4th in the country now. I think they're probably appropriately ranked for the most part. They are that good, but I just think it's a major letdown spot, man. And we're looking at an Iowa team that did bounce back nicely from their first loss, which was a loss that we had on the show. I know they went on the road for the first time. It didn't do well at Michigan State. They bounced back nicely with a win over Maryland. Now, you know they're going to be focused. I mean, this is a huge rivalry game. Both teams will be focused, but I think the game's going to be closer than what the spread is. I still think it's a letdown spot for Iowa State, man. I mean, they're coming off a game. If anything could be a bigger game than this, it would be what Iowa State just did. So I think Iowa might be the somewhat more motivated team in this one, man. And coming into this game in the better spot here. And now they're at least used to being on the road here. And this game, I mean, they don't have to travel as far. I mean, this is a trip that they make every other year. Although, of course, with Ben McCollum's new team here, they haven't done it yet. But unless maybe Drake did last year. I don't even know. Maybe I should look. But either way, I'm going to take the points with Iowa here. That's the college basketball play of the day there. Simply, Iowa State's in a letdown. I mean, that's like the simplification of it, and I think it should work in this game, hopefully. Zach, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. Yes, sir. Yeah, good day yesterday. They can't all be like that, though, so I will forewarn. NHL, we got a board that I really don't like this board much. There's a lot to choose from, 13 games. I got 2 out of these 13, and I don't really love a lot of it, man. We have San Jose at Toronto. San Jose, Actually, did I want to talk about any more college basketball? I don't know. I don't think there was any other college basketball. Hang on, let me just make sure. And it's showing me yesterday, of course. Oh, actually, my mistake. College basketball, hold on. We do have one other game that's somewhat of note, St. Joe's and Syracuse. When I first took a look at this, I'm like, well, Syracuse is going to be in a letdown spot. They just pulled off a nice upset of Tennessee. We had them in that game. That was a home game. Big-time upset after Syracuse got pretty much blasted by that Iowa State team out in Las Vegas. And they had to play, they lost all 3 games in their tournament in Las Vegas, although that may not be great because this game is also in Las Vegas. But again, I mean, that's another knock against Syracuse. If they didn't do well in Vegas, now they're, letdown spot coming off an upset of Tennessee. The problem is St. Joe's has not been, I don't think they've been outside of Philadelphia this season, if I'm not mistaken. They definitely have not been to Vegas. So the problem I have with this is that Syracuse is now used to being in Vegas. So they're going to, because they were just out there, they kind of know how to deal with the distractions now better. Because otherwise I would say, yeah, you got to fade Syracuse here. It's definitely a letdown spot. But I don't think we could do it, even though I would probably still lean to taking the points here. I just worry about it, man, because, again, St. Joe's, actually, let me see. Were they in Vegas too? Let me see. Oh, they were. What am I saying? They did go to UNLV at least. So, actually, that kind of mitigates that a little bit, yeah. St. Joe's actually went out for one game, they went out to Las Vegas. So, both teams have actually played in Vegas this year. I'm still not going to do it. Syracuse, by the way, they've had a lot of time off. They've had like 8 days off since that win. But I talk about it when you have a long layoff, which I'm going to talk about in the NBA today. But when you have a long layoff, if you went into that layoff on a great note, usually it will like hurt your momentum and you'll like be just basking in that win over the layoff. You know what I mean? So I actually think that's bad. Whereas even though St. Joe's played like 2 days ago, it was an easy win over Coppin State. So that's just a momentum continuer. So yeah, I forgot about that game. But yeah, St. Joe's is my opinion in that game. Syracuse is up from 12.5 to 13, 60% of the tickets on them, only 59% of the cash. Yeah, so I would take the points with St. Joe's. It's a little bit more tempting knowing that they did actually play in Las Vegas earlier this year, but I'm not going to do it. All right, NHL. San Jose is at Toronto. In this game, San Jose coming off an ugly loss to Philadelphia, 4-1. Now they're going up to Toronto. Toronto playing a little bit better with Matthews back here. Toronto could be in a letdown, though. I mean, they're coming off a big win over Tampa Bay. They've had a couple of days off, but I think when you have a couple of days off of a big win, you're kind of just basking in it. And then they do have Edmonton coming up next, so it looks like kind of a sandwich spot to me in this one. I would look towards San Jose in this game. This is not a play for me. Toronto's down from minus 205 to minus 200, so we're looking at like, you could take San Jose on the puck line maybe. The odds makers are really disrespecting San Jose here. You're getting a huge price with them, although the odds makers are telling you something with that line. They're telling you San Jose is not even as good as their record looks, which I keep saying as well. We don't really see the percentages on this yet. Toronto will be public, but I would look towards San Jose plus the 1.5 goals on the puck line in that game if I was going to do anything with it. Tampa at New Jersey should be a pretty good game, although I assume New Jersey is still without Hughes. I don't know if and when he's coming back. Interestingly, both of these teams just broke a loss streak in their last game. Tampa Bay crushed Montreal 6-1 on Tuesday. That ended a loss streak, and a lot of times when you end a loss streak, it will give you new momentum moving forward. But remember, Tampa Bay, Vasilevsky is hurt now. He's on the shelf, so their goaltending situation is a bit muddy, and they used Johansson again in that game on a back-to-back, so I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they have another goalie who's going to come into the mix here, so I worry about Tampa Bay for that reason. I don't know what else. Oh, Tampa Bay's scheduling spot is also not great. A third game in 4 days, fourth game in 6 days, all in different cities. Not exactly the greatest spot for Tampa. A little bit of travel there around the Northeast. New Jersey also broke a loss streak. They had lost 5 games in a row. They beat Ottawa 4-3 on the road, coming back home from that. But they did have days off before that. So even though New Jersey is returning home from a road trip, it was only a 2-game trip to Boston and Ottawa. So I don't really consider that to be a full road trip return where they're going to be totally distracted or anything like that. So I actually kind of like New Jersey in this one. I don't like the travel spot for Tampa really as much, so New Jersey would be my opinion. The money disagrees, though. 50% of tickets, 82% of the cash on Tampa. They're all the way up from -110 to -133. So, I mean, it almost looks too tempting to take New Jersey as a huge, not huge, but a sizable home underdog here like this. Odds makers are telling you Tampa Bay is that good, that they're this much of a road favorite against New Jersey. But given the spot, I don't know. I kind of lean towards grabbing the Devils as the underdog there. Not a play, though. Dirty Sock, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, my sleep schedule's messed up as well. I got up at like 6 a.m. yesterday, and then I was just pounding coffee. Now I have a headache. I didn't sleep enough. Last night I did sleep a little bit, but I'm feeling like ass right now. I don't know what I'm going to do, man. But yes, thanks for hanging out. We had a 2-0 day yesterday. Yeah, I mean, we're on a nice little run here. We're trying to finish the year pretty strong here, which already we are. I mean, unless something like goes completely haywire over the last couple of weeks here. All right, we have Anaheim at the Islanders. The Islanders, you know, they're kind of my nemesis here. Keep trying to fade them. We were able to get the win against them with Florida. They bounced back from that, and they beat Vegas in a shootout back at home. They might be in a little bit of a letdown off of that, man. And they do have Tampa Bay in a couple of days. They did just beat Tampa Bay, but Tampa Bay is a big Eastern Conference matchup, man. So it is possible this is like a little bit of maybe a sandwich spot here, even though it seems kind of ridiculous to say you'll overlook Anaheim because they have a good record too, but maybe. Anaheim coming off a shootout win over Pittsburgh. That was a win for us on the show as well, starting the road trip. They got some momentum here now, at least. To me, I think the spot is a little bit better for Anaheim here. That would be my opinion here. The money seems to agree on that one for now, at least. The Islanders are -125 on the money line. 58% of tickets, 66% of the cash on Anaheim is a slight dog there. The ESPN game is Vegas and Philadelphia, or one of the two. There's a doubleheader on ESPN here. This is the 7 p.m. Eastern. This is in Philadelphia. The odds makers, if you look at this, the odds makers right away, they're telling you not to believe Philadelphia's record because Vegas is up from -150 to -155 here. The odds makers, again, this line, they're telling you that Vegas is significantly better than Philadelphia by being favored like that on the road. 50% of the tickets and cash look like they're evenly split right now. But it's one of those situations where at least the line looks pretty misleading, where it looks almost too easy to take the team with the better record as an underdog at home. Vegas did just lose a 4-game win streak, though, so I don't like playing teams that just lost a win streak because sometimes they will be hung over. After that, they just lost in a shootout to the Islanders, so I worry about that a little bit as far as Vegas is concerned. Philadelphia just beat San Jose, and they're staying at home. So the spot to me does look a little bit better for Philadelphia, except that they do have Carolina up next. So there is, I guess, somewhat of a potential for a look ahead here. But I don't think you really are going to overlook Vegas when you're playing them at home on ESPN. So even though it's one of those misleading lines, I mean, I wouldn't really disagree with leaning towards Philadelphia as the underdog, but I don't like it that much. You made it a parlay? Yeah. No, you lost on your other parlays? Oh, no. I was right about both NBA games yesterday, though. I said lay the points with Oklahoma City yesterday, and I said take the points with the Spurs generally. I wasn't that strong on them, but I did get those both right. I think I was pretty bad in hockey yesterday, though. All right. We have Montreal at Pittsburgh. Because I guess I'm just going to talk about all these games. I mean, there aren't many other games in the other sports today, so it won't be that long of a stream either. Montreal coming off 2 losses, a real ugly loss in their last game to Tampa Bay. Starting a road trip. Looks like it should be a positive spot. Like, one of the best things you can do when you get murdered at home like that is to just forget about it and just start a road trip. So I expect some focus out of Montreal here. Pittsburgh, I mean, again, I keep saying they're not as good as their record looks. They just returned home, lost to Anaheim. We got the win on that one. I talk about how the return home spot is a distraction spot a lot of times because you have to get back to home life. A lot of times when you do bad in that game, you bounce back and you do better in the next game. I do still expect Pittsburgh to show up here. It's a pretty big game against Montreal, but they are coming off 2 shootout games, man, against good teams, Dallas and Anaheim. So I do worry a little bit. Yeah, I mean, slight opinion here towards Montreal as the underdog, even though the money looks like it doesn't agree. Pittsburgh up from -110 to -116. 78% of tickets, 89% of the cash. Speaking of market disagreement, though, it disagrees with one of my plays today, so whatever. We're just going to... actually, it's no longer disagreeing with that play, so never mind. I mean, looking at these percentages early in the day, you shouldn't put too much weight into it, man. I mean, you could use it as a guide, but the markets just shift all over the place because there just isn't that much volume in hockey. So you can see huge changes, if that makes sense. But I use it as kind of a guide, trying to figure out where I think the line's going to go. But yeah, Pittsburgh is up from -110 to -116 on the money line there. But I would lean towards Montreal as the dog. Perhaps the best game of the day, which is not on ESPN. It is on ESPN Plus. All the games are on ESPN Plus. Again, you do get your money's worth having ESPN Plus, dude, again, which is why I have it, even though I have it through the stupid Disney Plus bundle because it was a better deal that way. But you get a lot of games with ESPN Plus, man, although I know you could stream them elsewhere. But let's not get this channel nuked. Carolina, Washington, this is a good game. Carolina coming off beating Columbus. I don't think they're going to be unfocused or anything like that off of that. I think you're gonna get a focused effort out of Carolina. I don't really know what's going on with their goaltending situation. It looks like they're kind of alternating between 3 goalies at this point. Hasn't really seemed to matter, though. This Carolina team is still good. Washington's been really hot recently. After losing a win streak, they lost to Anaheim. They bounced right back, and they also beat Columbus. They've had a lot of days off, though, so a lot of times when a team has a bunch of days off, it can hurt their momentum a little bit. They actually beat Columbus in a return home spot, but I think Columbus was also in a bad spot in that game because I do not remember giving that out as a play or anything. Probably I said I leaned to the over, and that didn't happen. But Washington, they did bounce back. They didn't suffer the hangover, but again, when you have a lot of days off, normally I would say the second game back home, you're going to bounce back from a bad performance, but they didn't have a bad performance. These days off could kind of have them coming into this game a little bit cold. So I actually somewhat prefer Carolina for that reason. The money seems like it is agreeing with that to a decent extent. Carolina's at -110. I mean, it's basically a pick-the-winner game here. 78% of the tickets are on Washington. 61% of the cash on Carolina. So the money, at least early, the cash percentage seems to be all over Carolina. And it seems like the Joes kind of want Washington in this one. So I like picking the home team at a cheap price. Kind of weird to see them off of Carolina, but Carolina does play somewhat of a less offensive style. It's offensive to the recreational bettors because they don't like teams that do that. But I like how Carolina plays. I like their defense. They're usually underrated for that reason. Yeah, lean to Carolina on that one. Mr. Penzi, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. I also apologize. My nose is just... I might have to blow my nose after this, too. Ottawa and Columbus. Man. Yeah, just my sinuses are going crazy. I'm sick right now. This is bad. At least it'll be a short stream today with a decent amount of plays. Ottawa on a 3-game losing streak here. They did just have a close loss to New Jersey, though, so I don't know which way this is going to go because they're starting a road trip. I usually say when you start a road trip, it's good. You get to just leave home, forget about it. I think that is the case here, but that was a close game against New Jersey a couple days ago, so I do worry that maybe that does have a little bit of a lingering effect, a hangover effect, although normally I would say when you're at home and you're losing, going out on the road is a good thing. For Columbus, they're on a 3-game losing streak. They're returning home from a road trip, so, I don't like that, although it was somewhat of a short road trip. It was less than a week. They went to Florida, Washington, Carolina, lost all 3 games, but I talk about when teams go on the road, they don't usually bounce back right away when they come back home. They usually fall into kind of a distraction spot. So I do still lean to Ottawa overall in this game. I mean, again, when you see a team starting a road trip against a team that's returning from one, I'm almost always going to be at least leaning towards the road team there. Ottawa up from -107 to -113. Don't see the percentages on that yet. But I agree. This next one is the one where the market already shifted to be in agreement with me, probably because of my thinking on it, man. People are tracking me on Action Network, so they probably I probably influenced the line on this one, or influenced the percentages on St. Louis Nashville here. MGM is Ottawa minus 115. But they still have the puck line with the other team favored. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, of course, those puck lines are going to be juiced appropriately, but so they're going to be, it's going to tell, the juice is going to tell the tale that it's like really close to a pick 'em. But yeah, interesting. But yeah, those are separate markets. So like the money line market will move with who's betting on the money line, and the puck line market will move with who's betting on the puck line. So they are separate markets. So sometimes they won't be completely reflective of each other. It is interesting though. It gets more interesting. Like there are dudes that will just play close money line games, and they'll try to influence the line to, like, they'll play the underdog to try to get them to become the favorite, and then come back and also take the underdog on the other side for the same amount. You know what I mean? So they're guaranteed like a small profit. There are guys that do that too, but I don't like that. It requires pretty much no thinking. So, and it's even more of a grind than what I do. So, all right, next up is my best bet here, one of them. Oh, wait, it's St. Louis, but let me, hold on. Which you probably could have figured it out, because we're looking at quite the sandwich here. We're going to be on the St. Louis Blues, even though they gave me the Blues the last time I went with them against my Boston Bruins. So at least I was happy about the Bruins winning. Now, St. Louis couldn't zigzag, and they lost to the Bruins again on Tuesday by the same score, 5-2. But now St. Louis is going out on the road again. I think they're going to be focused on this one, man. I mean, after another ugly loss, the last time they lost to Boston, they did bounce back with 2 straight wins. So maybe they'll repeat the same thing, bounce back again here. Not much of a travel spot from St. Louis to Nashville. I know they do have Chicago up next, but I don't know, man. After an ugly loss, I think they're going to show up for this. I think Binnington will be back in net, even though it didn't help us last time. He lost to the Bruins for us in that game on the 4th. But he is still their better goalie. I think we're going to get Binnington in this one. And really, this is about fading Nashville. I mean, the spot that Nashville is in is bad. They're in an avalanche sandwich, dude. I mean, if you look at their run of games since last Thursday, they beat Florida on the road in overtime. They lost to Carolina on the road, difficult game. Came back home and they just beat Colorado in a shootout on Tuesday. Colorado's got the best record in the NHL, man, and they are indeed probably the best team in the NHL. Huge win for Nashville. It was kind of a bad spot for Colorado. I believe I called that out on the show. I think my opinion on that game was Nashville on the puck line as a giant home underdog. And they got the outright win, man. And now they play this ugly, below 500 St. Louis team. Oh, yeah, and as I said, avalanche sandwich. After this, Nashville goes out and they play Colorado again, and then they play St. Louis, and then Carolina again after that. So very, very odd. Yeah, so St. Louis, yeah, so it's like, I don't know, it's like the reverse of what they just did. I don't even know, man. It's not quite a palindrome of a schedule here. It's because St. Louis is in the wrong spot there, but, you know, whatever. My mind is going to weird places. But, yes, they have Colorado again next, which is another big game. So the avalanche sandwich, man, it could cover you in snow, man. You could die out there in the elements here. So I like St. Louis in this one. Nashville is also still a pretty ass team, so Nashville up from minus 107 to minus 121, so we're getting a little bit more value on the Blues as the dog here. I'm not even convinced that St. Louis is the lesser of these two teams. Like, I think they're pretty undervalued right now. Nashville's barely getting more than home ice now that the line has moved up. 60% of tickets, only 55% of the cash on them now, so yeah, we're going to be on St. Louis in that one. That's the first play, first of the two. Yeah, the puck line versus money line disparity. But again, because the puck line is juiced like to such a degree, it like won't be that much of a disparity really if you think about it. The best time to do the market read, I usually keep an eye on it like all day pretty much. like I try to figure out like when is the best time that I actually want to put in the bet, and sometimes it's not when I do the show. Usually I'm betting later, but sometimes I'm not. But like usually, because I'm fading the public more often than not, I usually like to wait. Although sometimes, like, well, it's a trade-off, right? Because the longer you wait, the more information you're getting. But the more information that there is, the market is going to be adjusting to it and coming to a better price. You know what I mean? So you're probably going to, by waiting, you're also probably going to lose a little bit of value. So you got to weigh those two things. Like, we've already lost, dude. I want Old Dominion in the Staff DNA Cure Bowl. They were a touchdown favorite when it opened. I mentioned them as a lean on my show the other night. I usually don't play the bowls right away, but that line has crashed, man. I don't know. I might still give out a play in Old Dominion, but we've lost a lot of value on that line, man. So I hate when that happens. Like, I'm pissed. Big bettors they put money on the games. It depends on which game it is, basically. Like, generally, if a bettor is going to be fading the public in a very public sport, so like say the NFL, say you know you're going to be fading a really public like favorite in the NFL, the professional bettors are usually going to like play that one right before game time because they're going to generally get the best number that they can right before game time because the public plays the game late. You know what I mean? They play it like on game day. So you in that situation, you're going to get the best number then. But if it's a game that's on some crap conference, college basketball game, you're generally, I would say, going to probably play it like earlier because the line is, if you're right about it, if the professionals agree with you on it, the line's going to move in that direction. So you're going to get the best value on the number playing those types of games earlier, if that makes sense. So yeah, and then the bowls are a completely different animal where the public is not playing the bowls like until the day of, but you can see that the professionals are hammering those numbers like right away. The numbers in bowls, the numbers move more than like in any other games because it's just so crazy, like the lack of motivation and stuff that some teams have. Forsberg took out what, Colorado's goalie. I didn't even see it, man. I'll have to go see the replay on that. Yeah, so you want to fade the Nashville sex offenders in this one with me today, and then so yeah, let's do it. You're gonna go heavy on the Avs, yeah, but the Avs are gonna be they're probably gonna be like a minus 350 favorite in that game though. There's gonna be like no value really to be found there on the Avs. You're not gonna lay a -2 puck line on that. The only way that you're gonna be able to play it really is Avs over their team total or something like that probably. But hopefully I answered that question. And by the way, speaking of bowls, if you guys saw the latest news with Michigan, because they're in, I believe they're in the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl in Miami or whatever against Texas. Michigan fired their coach, Moore, after he'd only been there. He'd been there since Harbaugh left, I think, so only a couple of years. He was having an inappropriate relationship with somebody on the staff, which you're not supposed to do. And I think he's married as well, so it was like an infidelity situation. But that's like, okay, you're sleeping with some other woman, whatever. Like, I'm not that surprised by that. The team fired him for that, but what I didn't realize is that he actually got arrested as well because he broke into the staffer's house, I think, like his mistress. He like broke into her house or something like that to probably get rid of some evidence that he was doing that. I think he was trying to steal something. Like, I have no idea, dude. So he's in jail now. So now Michigan has some interim coach who everybody's making fun of online right now because he's this really obese old dude with like awful man boobs. Like, I don't know if you've seen this. It's all crazy, dude. You can go find it on Twitter. I don't know what we're going to do with Michigan because my first instinct was that Michigan was going to be more excited to be in that bowl because they got like a freshman quarterback there. Texas was the number one team, to start the season. But now with that Michigan coaching situation, I mean, that game I think is pretty much unplayable. Like, Texas has gone up to a bigger favorite. So if you do still think Texas is going to be disappointed and whatever, you get more points on Michigan in that game. But man, I was thinking about maybe looking at Michigan in that game, but now I think that game has got to be a stay away. It's crazy, dude. All right, finishing hockey here. We have one more play in hockey somewhere here. Dallas is at Minnesota. Dallas coming off a win over Winnipeg. Dallas has won 4 games in a row. Traveling from Winnipeg to Minnesota here. I think they'll show up. I mean, Minnesota playing well right now, although I keep talking about how Minnesota is not really as good as their record looks. Dallas is the better of these two teams still. Minnesota just got a win to break a loss streak over Seattle, but they're returning home from a road trip, and they've been on the road for over a week. So I talk about how tricky of a spot that is. Even though they've had 2 days off, I actually think that can kind of be worse sometimes because you get back into the rhythm of things at home. You have stuff to do at home. It could be a distraction. So I don't like it, man, although my hesitation with fading Minnesota here is that I don't really think they're going to overlook Dallas. I mean, how could you when they're the team with the second best record in the NHL? So I lean Dallas in the game because I generally am just going to fade teams returning home from road trips, but I'm not going to make a play on this. Dallas is up from minus 112 to minus 140. 90% of tickets, 96% of the cash on Dallas. They're a very public side, too. Kind of surprisingly, because you think that some of the public might come in on Minnesota here because they have a pretty decent record. They're a home underdog here. Odds makers still telling you Dallas is the better team. I don't disagree with that, obviously. I think they're in the better spot, too. It's just a bit of a price delay, and I still think Minnesota might show up for that. Like, I like the distraction spot more when you're getting an underdog that's going to be like a team that's going to get overlooked, you know what I mean? My Boston Bruins are at Winnipeg. Bruins just beat St. Louis again. The Bruins are in second place in the division that they were supposed to be in last place, man. And they were like 110-1 to win this division, and they're in second place right now. They're overperforming, though. But I said I thought the Bruins would be a mediocre team this year, and possibly fighting for a playoff spot this year. So they're exceeding my expectations, at least for now. Although I'm expecting regression. But they've won 3 games in a row here, man, after it looked like they were playing a little bit less well recently. They've had a nice little run here, although 2 wins of those 3 were against St. Louis. Bruins now going to Winnipeg. Winnipeg, of course, without their elite goaltender, though, Hellebuck. Winnipeg has been on a big-time slide without him. They've only won like 2 games since he went down. Not good for them. And those wins were against Nashville and Buffalo. And those are 2 of the worst teams in the NHL right now. So not great for Winnipeg here. They're coming off a close game against Dallas as well. They do have Washington next, who has a better record as well. I mean, I probably have to slightly lean towards the Bruins in that one. Not too excited about it. The market doesn't agree. Winnipeg did drop from minus 150 to minus 145. 69% of the tickets on Boston, but 52% of the cash on Winnipeg. I don't really agree with the market read in that one. I think Winnipeg, it's going to be a difficult spot, like somewhat of a difficult spot for them, I think, in that game, but I'm not playing it. I mean, and I'm rooting for the Bruins, and that's about it. But I could be wrong in that game. You could be wrong with any game, man, but I'm trying to give out my strongest opinions here. Detroit and Edmonton. Detroit is on a back-to-back. Now, I forgot to mention because there's one other team that's on a back-to-back, although did I talk about them yet? Did I skip a game? What's going on here? I know there are 2 teams on back-to-backs today. Detroit is one of them. Florida, Utah, LA. I don't think those teams are playing today. Rangers, Chicago. Who's the other team? Oh, Florida's the other team. We haven't gotten to them yet. All right, yeah. So we have 2 teams on back-to-backs. Detroit is one of them. They beat Calgary 4-3 yesterday after blowing a 4-0 lead. Calgary kind of outplayed Detroit in that game, though. I leaned towards Calgary yesterday. They almost came back. So now Detroit didn't exactly play that well. They were, I think, looking ahead to Edmonton here. But it is tough. It's a back-to-back, 3rd game in 4 days, 4th game in 6 days, 5th game in 8 days, all in different cities. That's not an easy thing to do, man. So I still don't really like the spot for Detroit here. Edmonton didn't play yesterday, and they're coming off a pretty ugly loss at home to Buffalo in overtime. So I think it's more of a bounce-back spot for Edmonton here. They're a little bit under the radar right now, and the odds makers are telling you Edmonton is the better team, lining them at minus 190, although it dropped to minus 185. But oddsmakers telling you Edmonton is better than Detroit fairly significantly, and that Edmonton is not as bad as their record looks. 80% of tickets, 98% of the cash on Edmonton. I'm not really going to disagree with Edmonton there, although if you want to go with it, you probably have to turn it into like a puck line or regulation bet, although I don't love those anymore or whatever. ESPN, the night game of the doubleheader is an interesting one at 9:30 Eastern. It is Florida at Colorado. So we have the team that won the last two championships against the team that is the current best team in the NHL. Interesting. Florida did play yesterday, as I was just alluding to. They beat Utah. Sorry to sob there. Utah, if you look at the stats, Utah kind of outplayed them. I think I dug into that box score earlier today, so kind of a tough loss there. Florida started out the game, I think, up 2-0. Utah wound up tying the game at 3, but then they fell short. So a tough game for Florida. Now they're doing this back-to-back in elevation. That's not easy to do, dude. Playing 2 games in 2 nights in elevation, even though they did have rest prior to this, but it's going to be difficult, man. I think it's a difficult spot, whereas Colorado, you know they're going to be pissed because they just lost to Nashville. The problem is they're returning home from a road trip. They went out to the East Coast. They played both New York's, Philadelphia, and then came into Nashville, and now they're back home. And they do have that Nashville team up next. I don't think Colorado's going to overlook a home ESPN game against the back-to-back defending champs. I'm not saying they're going to overlook them just because they want revenge over Nashville. I don't think that's going to be a thing, but for Colorado here, I mean, I don't like the spot, man. They're returning home from a road trip. I always talk about how you can get distracted when you return home from a road trip. Don't love it. You got home life to get back to. So which one of these teams is in the worst spot? I don't know. But Colorado's down from -255 to -228 on the money line. So the odds makers are kind of indicating that you should be leaning towards Florida here. I don't disagree, although it's a real difficult spot, dude. The total's at 6.5. I would be leaning probably towards an over in this game because you get one team returning home from a road trip, the other team, you know, the defense tires out, I think, worse than the offense does, in my opinion, still. So I'll have to keep an eye on how I'm doing on these total predictions. But yeah, I would probably look towards an over in that game. And then we have my final play of the hockey slate. I do have an NBA play as well. Yeah, we're going to go with the Vancouver Canucks on the money line here at home. I know they're a bad team this year, but Buffalo is also a pretty bad team. So we're going to fade Buffalo here. Buffalo is pretty ugly on the road, man. I mean, say what you will. Vancouver's bad at home. I know, 4-9-1, but Buffalo's 3-9-2 road record is not exactly good. And Buffalo's coming off a win over Edmonton. So, overtime 2 days ago. And now they're playing a third game in 4 days, all in different cities. They're getting towards the end of a long road trip. I don't like this spot, man. That was a big win. I think that was kind of, when you're a team like Buffalo, that's a big deal when you beat the conference champs from last year, even though they're in the opposite conference. But the conference champs the last 2 years. Huge win. Buffalo is obviously a big underdog in that game, too, although ESPN no longer shows you the betting, what the betting odds were on those. They show you the betting odds on the upcoming games, but I hate it, man. They need to interface with DraftKings and pull up that history. They can't, ESPN Bet, I guess, used to track the betting history, but now ESPN Bet is bought out by the Score, which, by the way, I actually use the Score app on my phone. It's the best scoreboard app, in my opinion. I have a widget on one of my home screens so I can just see the scores and scroll through them. You know what I mean? I like the Score, but they bought ESPN Bet. So I think it's now the Score is the name of the book now, which that is one that's available in Massachusetts. I'm pretty sure. ESPN Bet was, but I haven't looked at the new the Score sportsbook, which I should, because you should have every option available. So I definitely got to get on that. But anyway, I don't know what I was saying. Yeah, for Buffalo, they were definitely a big underdog in that game. They pulled off the upset. Now, third game in 4 days, all in different cities. I don't love it, man. Especially they're playing a Vancouver team. It's just not been good this year. And I think Vancouver is going to be in the much better spot, and they're going to be pretty angry because they just got shut out at home, and they haven't played since Monday. So they have the way better travel spot. They're just staying at home, and they've had multiple days off, which I think is a good thing when you're coming off a shutout loss. And I talk about all this, in hockey, when teams lose by 4+ goals. I don't know if it's specifically at home, but they have a good percentage of bouncing back in the next game. So I like that too. Staying at home, I think you're going to see an angry team here. You're going to see a better performance out of Vancouver here, man. Again, multiple days off can help burn that losing momentum, give you some more focus here. So, yeah, I like Vancouver here. So that's the other hockey play. Oops, my mistake with these stupid banners. With the timers here, there it is. Vancouver, money line. You can get them at a really cheap price here. Buffalo's up from minus 105 to minus 113 on the money line. So getting a cheap price with Vancouver there. Almost getting them at an underdog price. Not a bad deal to me there. And that is the last game on the hockey board as well. All right, we have NBA. We're not in the NBA Cup play here, but we have 4 NBA games today. And these are the types of games where you got to look at the fact that these teams are all coming off big layoffs, some bigger than others. But I talk about this, I handicap this like a bye in football, where when a team has a long layoff, it's like it stops whatever momentum you just had, right? So when you're losing, having a good layoff is good because it breaks that losing momentum and you usually fix things and come in with focus. When you're winning, going into the layoff, it's bad because you want to just keep playing because everything's working. So in that break, you don't really have anything to work on, and it slows your momentum. So something to keep in mind here. We have the Clippers at Houston in the first game. Yeah, I mean, this Clippers team, I mean, they're massively underperforming. I don't know what's going on with the Clippers, other than it just seems to be James Harden just trying to do everything. But the fact that the Clippers have been off since Saturday, I do think that's helpful because they've been losing a bunch of games. They've only won 1 game since November 23rd. So I think having a lot of time off can actually help a team that's just in a massive slide like this. So maybe you will get more focus out of the Clippers here. They should be focused, playing one of the best teams in the West, the Rockets. Rockets have been off for the same amount of time, though, and they took a somewhat ugly loss as well, losing to Dallas. So, that might help them a little bit as well. But with LA doing so bad, the Clippers, I think the time off helps them more. And Houston might be looking ahead a little bit because they do have Denver up next. Denver did beat them at home the last time. Denver is, of course, one of the better teams, one of the best teams in the West as well. So, slight lean towards taking the points of the Clippers for me in this one. Rockets have 87% of tickets, 99% of the cash on them. They're up to 9.5 from 8.5, but they're going to wind up being the public side. Yeah, my opinion here would be to take the points if I was going to play it. The game I am going to give out a play on, which let me fix the stupid timer on the banner here, which I always have to do now. The final best bet of the day. We are going against my Boston Celtics. We're going to take the Milwaukee Bucks plus the 9. Giannis is still out, but I don't really want to play the Bucks in a situation where he's coming back. You know what I mean? The reverse injured player spot where you're going to be getting less value on Milwaukee and probably getting some value going the other way. But I like Milwaukee in this spot, man. Hopefully my gauge on the Celtics is recalibrated because I was way off about that game against Washington. And this spot looks kind of similar. Now, the Celtics have been off since Sunday. And again, as I just mentioned, if you're on a roll like the Celtics are, they've won 5 games in a row, you do not want to stop playing because it can hurt your momentum, man. And now not only are they coming off a win over LA, but actually we got the Celtics wrong against Toronto too. They beat LA, which is a huge win, even though that was without Luka and LeBron. Celtics-Lakers, heated rivalry, hated rivals, whatever. Huge win. They went up to Toronto and they still got the win. And the one thing I am worried about a little bit is that final score was misleading because the Celtics, they had a massive lead in that game. And as the Celtics tend to do, they took their foot off the gas. But I think that does help us with this play here. The Celtics' tendency to get complacent when they have a big lead, take their foot off the gas. The backdoor cover is open when a team does that. So there is the chance that Milwaukee is able to get back in the game and cover, even if they're down, by double digits here in this one. Because it happened with the Celtics. Toronto almost came back and covered that number. But it was a big win for the Celtics. Now they have time off that could disrupt their momentum. They got to play this Milwaukee team that's without Giannis, that's below 500. Are the Celtics really going to pay attention to them when the Celtics then have Detroit, Miami, and Toronto all upcoming? Much, much bigger games right now against teams that all have winning records in the East. Detroit, I think, was still the best record in the East, even though, yeah, the Celtics beat Detroit the last time, but that's still a big game. I think this is a sandwich spot plus a momentum-killing amount of rest for the Celtics here, whereas Milwaukee, they've had even more rest. They've been off since Saturday, but they lost their last 2 games. So they did actually beat Detroit without Giannis before that. So at least there is precedent right now of Milwaukee being able to win against a good team without Giannis. So at least there is that. That was at home, which so is this. But having this many days off, I think, will help Milwaukee because they went into that time off on a losing streak again. So they're going to use it to fix things. I think they're going to show up here because their next game is only against Brooklyn. So you got the Celtics coming to town. You're going to show up, man. You're going to be focused. Celtics probably overperforming a little bit too, although, dude, I mean, you got to hand it to Joe Mazzulla. The Celtics, you know, they don't have the same core really that they had last year. I mean, they still have Brown and White, very good players, but their role players are looking really good right now. And the Celtics have been extremely disciplined. They have like the lowest turnover rate in the NBA, which the discipline has been a problem for the Celtics in the past, but this year it's been excellent. So that's the reason why they have a good record right now, pretty much with the kind of ragtag roster that they have right now. Celtics, I mean, they're doing all right. I mean, if they get Tatum back and they sneak into the playoffs and he actually comes back and plays, things are going to get a little interesting. So that is my hope as a Celtic fan, but I do not like them in this game. We're going to take the points with Milwaukee here. Celtics, they're going to be public. They're up from 7.5 to 9. The public will not be coming in on the Bucks in this one. 88% of the tickets, 95% of the cash for now on the Celtics, but I'm like, whatever. Just give us a better number, slightly, whatever. We'll take the extra point and a half. Milwaukee plus the points. Then we have Portland at New Orleans. This is kind of an ugly game. Well, any game involving New Orleans is going to be ugly, but Portland is finishing a road trip here, but they have had a bunch of days off. So the time off might help Portland because they went into the time off of a couple of losses. A really ugly one to Memphis in their last game. So Portland may show up with more focus here coming out of that, even though they do have a bigger game against Golden State next. But when you're losing, you're probably going to show up focused for the most part, especially after having the extra time off to fix things. New Orleans has a little bit less time off because they played on Monday. But they still do have time off to try to disrupt this long loss streak that they're on. But, I mean, basically their entire season is a long loss streak, though. But New Orleans played pretty tough against San Antonio in that game on Monday. So I don't love the spot as much for New Orleans here, man. Less rest here. Portland is the better team, obviously, but the money's coming in towards the Pelicans. I'm not really sure I agree with that. Trailblazers are down from 5.5 to 4.5 here. 71% of the tickets on them, 77% of the cash on the Pelicans. I don't really think I agree. I think if I was going to play it, I would look towards Portland, but I mean, obviously, I don't want to do it, but I'm just making sure Holiday is not back yet. Drew Holiday is still out for the Trailblazers here. Zion is out. What else is new? Until after Christmas for New Orleans. He can never stay healthy, man. It sucks because I think he could have had a decent career, and injuries have just completely derailed it, and he hasn't looked good when he has played. I don't know, man. And then we have Nuggets Kings to finish it off. The Nuggets are up from 9 to 10, 98% of the tickets, 82% of the cash on them. Whoops. So the Nuggets are public with less of the money coming in on them, but I'm not sure that I would disagree with laying the points with the Nuggets here, though. Now, they do have the look ahead. Like I said, they're playing Houston next, so maybe that's a bit of a concern. The Nuggets, well, actually, wait. I don't remember what my thoughts were because I definitely looked at this game earlier, but I think I forgot what I thought about it. The Nuggets, they've had time off. The last played on Sunday, and they went into the break with 3 wins in a row. So it is kind of a bad spot for the Nuggets, and that it might halt their momentum. So I don't know what I was thinking. They're in a momentum-killing spot potentially here, having rest coming into it with a bunch of wins in a row. And they have Houston up next, which is a bigger game. But they did lose to Sacramento on their home floor the last time. So they might remember that and have some adjustments to make for that reason. But I actually think I do lean to Sacramento in this one now that I'm thinking about it again. My mind is just totally out of it right now. I apologize. Sacramento is returning home from a road trip. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. They were on the road since Wednesday the 3rd. They went to Houston, Miami, and Indiana. Returning home from a road trip, it is a difficult spot to return home from the road. You can be a bit distracted. They've had multiple days off, but again, on a return home, I think that adds to the distraction more than it helps. I don't really think they're going to overlook a team that's as good as the Nuggets, though. So, I mean, I guess the lean would still be towards taking the points of the Kings, but of course, I am avoiding that game. And then we do have the NFL game to finish this off. It is a divisional matchup between the Falcons and the Buccaneers. Two teams that are not looking great right now. This division is terrible. It's still the worst division in football. In my opinion. I think most people would probably agree with that, unless people are going to try to say it's the NFC North, but I still just don't really think so. I mean, AFC North, not NFC North is good. AFC North is what I meant. But AFC North, I still think Baltimore's not as bad as they look, and Joe Burrow is back in the mix there, so I don't know. But the Buccaneers in this game, they're down from 5.5 to 4.5. Not really a significant move there. 70% of tickets, 77% of the cash on them. Total, 72% of tickets and 55% of the cash on the over. Total drops slightly down to 44. I don't really have a good opinion on the total at all, although on a Thursday, I always talk about how usually the home team has a little bit of an edge on Thursday because they're staying at home. They're in familiar territory. They don't have to travel sometimes, right? So Tampa Bay, I believe they're staying at home here. So Tampa doesn't even have to travel. So that is an edge on a short turnaround here. But when it's a divisional game, it's a little bit less of an edge because the road team plays in this venue every year. So the road team is used to it too. The teams know each other. So the road team usually has an easier time to prepare for a divisional game like this. On the short turnaround, so I don't think it's that bad of a spot for either team. My first analysis of this game was actually that both teams were going to be focused here, and the Falcons are only traveling from Atlanta, so their travel spot's not that bad either. So I looked at this game first, and I was like, well, both teams are kind of in bounce-back spots here after last week. But then, I'm kind of thinking about it more. I kind of started leaning one way in this game, which I'll talk about in a second, but what else was I going to say? Oh, yeah, and as far as the total, Thursday night games, a lot of times when teams, aren't familiar with each other and you don't have as much prep time, if the teams aren't familiar with each other, sometimes the defenses don't know what to do because they're not familiar with these offenses. So sometimes you see those games go over a little bit more often. But in a divisional game, like I just referred to, the teams know each other and they know each other's tendencies. So in a divisional game, on the short turnaround time, I think maybe the under does kind of make more sense when it's a divisional game because the teams are familiar with each other. Don't really have a strong opinion there, though. Possum Mitch, thanks for the retweet, man. All right. Now, as far as the situation, Atlanta, I mean, they got absolutely embarrassed in their last game. They're pretty much a dead team at this point. Losing 37-9 at home to Seattle. Totally embarrassing. Seattle definitely outgained them in the game, but it was worse than it looked on the scoreboard, at least, because Atlanta, I believe, had 3 turnovers as well. So they lost the turnover battle. Again, no team is as bad as they look in their worst game, and that was real ugly. So I think Atlanta will show up with some focus. Now, I talk about when a team is not going anywhere on the season, which is the case with Atlanta now, the types of games they get up for are a divisional game, especially where they can spoil the other team's season, and they could do that here because Tampa could lose the division and not even make the playoffs, man. So Atlanta's probably sick of seeing Tampa Bay win the division every year, so probably Atlanta does want to show up and try to spoil their season and get Carolina in instead, even though Atlanta lost to Carolina twice. I think Atlanta probably dislikes Tampa Bay a little bit more. Now, this is also one of those second divisional matchups where the home team lost the first game. That was that first game of the season where I thought Atlanta absolutely should have won that game. Atlanta actually outgained Tampa Bay by like over 100 yards in that game. They should have won, and it came down to some late fluky plays there where they lost the game, and Younghoe Koo had that miss, and then they kicked him off the team, and now he's looking bad for the Giants too. So when you have a team lose the first divisional matchup at home, and then in the second divisional matchup, they're an underdog on the road, They are usually a good way to look because they just have a little bit more motivation and they're getting points there. And the other team, if you're Tampa, well, you beat Atlanta already, right? So you don't really have to work on that much. You don't have as much to fix. And maybe Tampa takes Atlanta lightly because when Tampa beat them before, not only was it at Atlanta, but Penix was the starter then. And now we're looking at Kirk Cousins, who really has not been that good. He looked like he was improving, and then he was bad last week. So Tampa's probably thinking this is probably going to be easy, although my only issue is that Tampa might not be of that mindset because they did also lose this past week pretty embarrassingly as an over a touchdown favorite at home. They lost to New Orleans. New Orleans was in one of those spots where New Orleans had lost the first divisional matchup at home. So similar to this, New Orleans had lost at home against Tampa Bay, and they came with some adjustments, and they actually beat Tampa Bay last week. Baker Mayfield seems to be dropping off, dude. I don't know if it has to do with the injury, but I've always thought that Mayfield is not quite as good as people think that he is. So I don't know. He seems to be sliding right now, and this Atlanta team, even though I thought their defense would look better last week, they just couldn't get off the field last week, man. But this Atlanta defense isn't that bad. They can blitz. They are decent as an underdog, Atlanta, because they run the football. I think they're still without Drake London, which I know is going to make their passing attack worse. But they still have a good rushing attack, and they blitz, so there is all that. Yeah, I'm going to lean towards taking the points with Atlanta in that one, even though both teams, I think, should show up focused. But Tampa looks like they're in kind of a regression spiral. Again, we're looking at one of the few games that the Falcons have remaining where they will be motivated, I assume. I think their loss was actually uglier, even though a loss to New Orleans is ugly, but losing 37-9 at home is debatably even uglier, even though it was to a pretty good Seahawk team. But yeah, I expect both teams to look better in this game, but I think it'll be a close game. So I think the Falcons will be in the game, and I think it'll be a close finish with the Falcons at least covering the number there, but I'm not going to play it. And that's going to do it, man. That's that is the board for today. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. The plays today are college basketball, Iowa, plus the points, fading Iowa State in what I think is a massive letdown spot. And hopefully the Ben McCollum factor can come in and they can slow that game down. NHL, we got the Blues on the money line. We're going to have the Blues today. We're going to be singing the Blues probably. Vancouver Canucks money line, and then NBA, we're going to be on the Milwaukee Bucks. Not the Tampa Bay Bucks and not the Vancouver Canucks, but the Milwaukee Bucks +9. That's going to do it. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram. Like, subscribe here. Boost the YouTube. Leave me good comments, good replies, etc. We're on audio as well. We actually had a big day on audio. The day that I released the college football bracket and bowl special, that did really well on audio for some reason. I released it on Monday to audio. But yeah, go over there. It's on Apple and Spotify. Give me a good review over there. That helps as well. Listening helps me out over there. Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube, so you can check that out. Patreon.com/LearnToToad. You can get bonus content, Uke content, bonus feed and requests, which, I keep apologizing I'm not on top of those requests right now, but I'm sick right now. I'm in the middle of, wanted to do the Christmas covers. We'll see, man. Got to get at least a few more Christmas covers done, too, for the season. And then check out the Loser Cast, which we did on Tuesday night. We did episode 2. Had some fun there, man. That's on the Loser Cast channel now. I retweeted, Leighton put up the poll for this week, so you guys can go over there and vote for the appropriate loser. Mine was the Australian home invader, home intruder. So if you want to try to boost my my guy in the poll, you could do that. Although I think I'm gonna lose because again, I don't pick the famous people, man. These other dudes are picking famous people, so they have the upper hand in those polls. And then be on the lookout for the Giants podcast I'm going to do with Ben Weir as well. The G Spot, which we'll probably be doing at least this weekend. I think we're going to start it. We'll see, though. That's going to do it for now. Let's get some wins today, man. Hopefully I can absolve myself of this headache. Peace for now, guys.